Hello everyone, George Packard with Family Lawn and Landscape. And today we're going to answer some very basic lawn care questions that continue to pop up on the comment sections of my YouTube channel. So, first off, most popular question that I get asked is lawn mowing, how often should I mow the grass? So, not exactly sure what the guys mean by this, how often they should mow, because that's a wide open question that, obviously, if you're doing this for a business, as far as we're concerned, we generally only mow once a week. So we rarely have any customers that ask us to mow any more than that, because usually everybody's watching their money. So what we do, it's once a week, and there's very few times. We'll go in and we'll mow for special events, things of that nature. If they have a grand opening or a big sale going on and they want the place to look good, they might ask us to mow a couple of times throughout the week. So that we would do for them, but as a general rule, it's usually once a week. Best time to mow. So I guess these are just going to be standardized questions. So the best time to mow generally is in the mornings or evenings. That is when your lawn is in the least amount of stress. So obviously when it's really hot outside, your lawn is already stressing out, and you coming and mowing over the top of that is the worst time you can do it. So when you are in business for yourself, you pretty much got to mow when you can get there. So there really is that doesn't apply to you commercial guys. That's just your average homeowner, okay? Best way to prevent weeds from growing up in your lawn. Well, there's a few things you can do, and obviously the best practice is to get the healthiest lawn you can. Whenever you have open patches in your lawn, you have little brown spots that are opening up of topsoil and whatnot, it doesn't take weeds long at all to fill into those spots. If your lawn is not healthy and your grass starts to die out in areas, it gets thin. Wherever that gets thin, weeds come in. So basically, wherever there's brown dirt and a weed can blow through the air and land and seed itself, it's going to grow. If you have a thick, lush lawn, even though the weeds still blow through the air, but they don't land and get into that topsoil, because you have that thick, green, lush lawn there to prevent it. So your goal for the best result is to get your lawn as thick and lush as you possibly can through aeration, dethatching, fertilization, weed control products. All those things play a part, as well as irrigation. So you've got to feed your lawn all the nutrients it needs in order to get and maintain that thick, healthy, lush lawn that you're after. That's the best way to prevent the weeds. All right, how often should you water your lawn? Well, here again, this is pretty much for the homeowner. If you're out there and or even the commercial guys, I guess, if you're managing irrigation controllers for people, the best times, as far as I'm concerned, is still morning and evening. I think are the best times to water, because when you put it on in the middle of the day, it seems to dissipate a lot. And one thing I had heard, and I believe it to be true, years ago was, like, if you have a leaf here, say this is your blade of grass, and you have a drop of water on there from your sprinkler system, the sun acts like a magnifying glass, and it literally, when it shoots through that drop, that little bubble of water you have here, I believe I heard this years ago, and I believe I've seen it several times, to where it actually does kind of, seems like it burns on that grass, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but on extremely hot days down south, I believe I've seen this. So up north, not so much. But how often should you water? Depends on how much rain you're getting, and it depends on the type of grass you have. The St. Augustine grass, which is very commonplace down south, that stuff they're watering 2 and 3 times a day, versus up north, you have your Kentucky bluegrass or your red fescue, things of that nature, where once a day is plenty, usually, because it's not 80, 90 degrees every day like it is down south. That's why they have to water so much more. Okay? All right, the best time to fertilize. I believe the best time to fertilize is in the early spring. I think right away, what I try to do is, as soon as the snow's off, I try to get in there immediately, put the fertilizer on while the ground is moist, and those spring showers bring May flowers. That's what you hear all the time. I like to have that rain, especially if there's no irrigation systems. That rain just kind of dissipates your granules and gets them into the ground, where they're going to do you some good. All right, when's the best time to plant the new seed? For seeding lawns, here again, down south I don't see this a real lot. It seems like most people don't plant seed down south. It's every job that I've ever done down in Florida has been new sod. So it hasn't been anything with the seeding, but the question is, when's the best time to plant the new seeds? So here's what I would say. In the warmer climates, late spring, I believe would be your best time. And then in the colder climates, early fall is your best time, I believe, just because of the temperature of the ground at that time, and I think it'll help your seeds germinate quicker. The best pattern to mow your lawn in. Now that's a crazy question. So I get that a lot. And I'm just going to use this wall behind me for an example. Let's say when you start out, you go up. Let's say you have a square lawn, okay? So you're going to go around. This is also the fastest way to mow your lawn. It's just around and around and around and around, and it's fast. The less turns you have to make, the faster your mowing is. Stands to reason. If you have to come up here, turn around, come back down, turn around, go back up, turn around. So this is striping. But to stick with this original question, the first time I mow a lawn, it'll be round and round, okay? And I'm constantly going around because more than likely grass has already gotten up a little bit high. To me, that's the best way without bagging a lawn, is just to go around and around and disperse it evenly throughout the entire lawn, okay? I'll do 2 rounds or 3 rounds in, depending on what mower I have, just so I don't blow anything out into the beds or up by the house or into the driveway. And then I'll spin around because it blows out the right side of my mower, and then I'll go in this pattern. Now, you can do the striping straight up and down this way. Next week when you come, you could stripe it back and forth at this angle, and then the next week you come, do angles. You could do this angle, and then the following week you could do this angle. All right, and then you could just do a constant square cut on them also. Okay, but there's so many things, and what I do, I change it up every time I come. And one of the things that I do more so than anything is the round and round, because anytime you stripe, especially if in the rainy periods, when you get into the rainy periods, you're going to leave windrows of grass. If you continue to try and stripe this and you're only mowing once a week and you have a healthy lawn, you're going to find you leave windrows and then you'll have no grass, windrow, no grass, windrow. Okay, that changes when you go round and round. When you're going round and round, even though you have high spots all through this because you're getting so much rain, it dispenses it more evenly throughout this entire lawn, so the overall appearance is not bad. And again, this is if you're not bagging your lawns. That's what I do. All right, so how often should you aerate your lawn? So, ran into this thing down in Florida. I'm going to tell you, up north, our soil gets compacted. It gets hard, especially when it gets dry. It gets really hard. So to aerate the lawns at least every season is very beneficial, and I do that in the early spring. Down south, and I had this argument, and I don't know, I'm probably going to get all different answers from all kinds of people on this, but here's my philosophy. Down south, I have customers that want us to aerate these lawns, okay? I don't understand that concept because Florida basically lives on sand, okay? So, excuse me, if you have the aerator that punches these holes in, okay? You know how long it takes for those holes to fill back up? As soon as you turn the sprinkler on, or as soon as it rains, which is every day during the summer, the hot summer months. Somewhere between 3 and 5, it rains every single day, it seems like. So that hole that you punched in, because it's sand, it just fills right back up. So I don't get that. I don't understand that down south. Maybe you guys can shed some light on that for me. It's a selling point? Yeah. Can you sell it to people? Yeah, you can. Is it right? I don't think it's right, and I try to steer people away from it down there. If you have a point of view on that that's different than mine, leave me know in your comments below. I appreciate you watching. This has been George Packard with Family Lawn and Landscape, and see you again.